What is up, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video. The promised top 5 guns video is finally here. It took me a little bit to figure out which guns are bad now, which guns are good, because they changed mainly the assault rifle gameplay quite a bit. So I was wondering if other guns got better because of it, or if a lot of assault rifles really got that bad after the nerf. So I think I got a pretty accurate top 5, of course, 100% accurate, I don't know. This is from the experience that I got, the attachments that I use, which I will also be showing in this video. But I can guarantee you all the 5 guns that I'm naming right now are definitely top tier weapons in Battlefield 2042 at the moment. So keep that in the back of your mind. Some guns you might not agree with. Let me know your favorite gun right now. I'm kind of curious because I've seen all guns being used lately. Let me know your favorite gun in 2042. I'm very curious what you guys are going to come up with. So quick question before we get into it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're getting super close to 200,000 subscribers. If you would help me get there, that would mean a lot to me. It's the best way to support the channel. Drop maybe a cheeky like if you think this video was helpful. And let's get right into it. So the first gun we got right here is the newcomer, the GEW46, which I wasn't sure if I was going to add into the top 5, because usually new guns, you're always a little bit hyped about it and you want to use them a lot. You're like, yo, this gun's kind of good, but I do think this gun deserves to be in the top 5 right now. I put it at place number 5. It could maybe even deserve a higher position, but this gun, once you start unlocking the right attachments for it, is an absolute beast. The GEW46 is one of the most consistent assault rifles at the moment. The handling is super easy. The rate of fire can be adjusted depending on what mag size you're using, but I think it's the most accurate and consistent assault rifle right now that you can kind of use from any range, and even up close it does kind of shine. So for the attachments that I use, I have the Fusion Hollow, which is definitely a very good one. The TV 2x is also worth using. The 2x scope on this gun does kind of beam. I got a couple of clips for that. And the thermal 1.25, I think it's always worth now putting a thermal on your gun, especially on that new map. It works very well to have a thermal. Spot players easy. So for the mag size, you have 2 options here. I personally like to go with the standard issue rounds, which increases the rate of fire, recoil control, and reload speed. However, it takes a little bit of range away. So if you don't like that, you can go with a high power round, which kind of does the opposite. It makes the gun a little bit more defensive, but a lot more useful for longer range gunfights. Now here comes 2 important attachments. The BCG light grip, which increases the accuracy, and then you have the tactical compensator, which also increases the accuracy. This is why the gun becomes so consistent. There's a couple of guns you can do this as well, but I feel like with the 46 it works by far the best. So the BCG light grip, it increases the aim down sights accuracy, which pretty much reduces the spread, which is really what hit the assault rifles hard. If you add this attachment, you're going to notice your bullets are going to be a lot more accurate when you're trying to shoot. You can also use some of the grips. If you're struggling with the recoil, I would personally just not really recommend doing that. I think you really should stick to the BCG light grip. I also have the tactical compensator, which pretty much does the exact same thing. It increases the recoil though. If you're again not very good with control and recoil, I would actually recommend not putting a barrel up at all. Even the barrels that reduce the recoil aren't worth using, especially the war compensator. Stay away from this one because it will increase the accuracy, which is already quite bad on the assault rifle. So either go with no barrel or go with the tactical compensator. I have a rap suppressor as backup, always useful to have that on your back. On to the next weapon, which is the Advances, the Season 2 LMG. This is a gun I've been dying to a lot, and I think it deserves to be in the top 5 simply because the gun absolutely does everything insanely well. The Advances has a high rate of fire, not a lot of recoil, very controllable, and that headshot multiplier hits very hard when you get shot by it from pretty much any range. When you go prone with it, the gun becomes even more accurate. So a top 5 for the Advances is definitely necessary. So I want to go right into the attachments again. I used the 2.5 thermal by default on this gun, and then I used the iron sights quite a lot as well. If you're a typical guy that likes to stick to the Fusion Hollow, definitely worth using on the Advances as well. But the higher zooms do work quite well with the Advances, especially the thermal ones. definitely worth using. I went with the same setup as the GEW46 for the grips, so again, more accuracy, which gives this gun so much more range. It's quite incredible the difference if you don't use these two grips and if you do. I actually use the rep suppressor quite a lot as well, because I usually advance these for like big game modes, 1 or 28 player rush for example. You want to go on big flanks, you don't really want to appear on the minimap or as little as possible. So the rep suppressor doesn't really affect the gun that much, and it keeps you off the minimap at a range of 40 plus meters, which is actually still quite a lot, but it's better than nothing. And then I use the standard issue rounds. Always have backup ammunition in case you somehow run out of ammo, but I think the standard issue rounds are doing the job great that need to be done. For the next gun is the LCMG. I had the debate with a lot of people, is the Advanced better or is the LCMG better? I feel like the LCMG is just a little bit better, just because the reason that you can use the LCMG in more different situations. I feel like it's more of the aggressive option here. It kills very fast and the hip fire is quite a bit better than the Advanced. I also use a laser on this gun. So that is definitely worth trying out, but it makes the gun, as I said, a little bit more aggressive. So for the attachments of the LCMG, I went with a super aggressive loadout. With the 1.25 thermal, I like to use the thermals on the LMGs in general, but the Fusion Hollow right here also very much worth using. But I really like the 1.25 thermal on this one. Now here comes the juice of the weapon, I like to say. The close combat rounds and the short barrel combined increase the rate of fire so much that the gun becomes something completely else. Now, since I don't move much with this gun, with LMGs in general, I went with the Cobra grip here, which gives the gun a little bit of extra range. It's also worth, if you're really aggressive, to go with the laser sights, the SDNR laser for example, or the normal laser right here. But I thought the Cobra grip kind of works well. It's the only gun I use the Cobra grip on. So this is the setup that I use. Of course, I have a silencer as backup and some extra rounds. I rarely use the silencer on the LCMG, not really necessarily, because it removes that short barrel, and that difference is huge once you remove that short barrel. So this is the LCMG setup. Now for the next gun, and I know this is going to be a controversy option, but I still think the RM68 dominates the game. Dominate maybe is a big word right now, because it doesn't have the range it used to have, but this gun still hits incredibly hard, and I still get one frame by this gun with the headshot multiplier the ARs have right now, with a 2.25 headshot increasement when you hit your shots well, I guess. It is very noticeable with the RM68. It pisses me off, to be honest, but it is in the game, and I still think it deserves to be on the top 5. I even put it on the number 2 spot in the top 5 here. It's still a good gun. It doesn't have as much range anymore, but it still hits very hard. So for the attachments, quickly going through it, the thermal, the standard issue, I use the SDNR laser, which gives it less recoil, and I use the standard rounds. A lot of people use the short barrel, also recommend using the short barrel if you like that. I kind of like to play this gun with a little bit more range, so I went with the standard round, which you get on this gun. But yeah, definitely mess around with the short barrel as well. I think most people prefer the short barrel on this gun. I personally just went with the longer barrel. It feels more satisfying to me, and I'm a little bit more consistent with it. So for the last gun, it is the well-trusted PP29, the SMG right now. I think it's back at number 1. The whole reason for this is the PP29, honestly, it's always a good gun, but it can do literally everything. And since the ARs are a little bit nerfed right now, I think the PP29 has a lot more of a value added to the game. I don't die by this gun a lot, but I usually see the good players absolutely dominate games with this. It is a very aggressive gun, but however, it's not the best at winning gunfights because of the rate of fire isn't the highest compared to other SMGs especially. But with the 64 rounds, you can absolutely dominate servers with this. Quickly going to the attachments, there's not much to it. I use the K8 Hollow or the Fusion Hollow, they can both be very good. The standard issue rounds, I have definitely backup ammunition. I run out of ammo with this gun quite fast. And then the rep suppressor as backup. The thermal, of course, also worth using. I was kind of experimenting with the 3.5 sights, which is surprisingly good because this gun doesn't have a lot of recoil. But with the high amount of ammo, the most amount of ammo I think out of any SMG, you can play super aggressive with it. If this is not your playstyle, if you're not an aggressive player, this gun might not be completely your thing, but I think in the right player's hands, this gun absolutely dominates above every other gun in the game at the moment. Hopefully this video was useful. Let me know if you think it was. Again, I don't use barrels, by the way. I didn't go over that because I literally don't use them. The wrap suppressor is always good to use, but no barrels at all. So hopefully this video is useful. Let me know what you think of it. If you agree or disagree, that's what the comment section is for. Again, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.